grinding every day. Long hours, no backup, no accountability. That ends now. The Empower Solopreneur Mastermind gives you one simple advantage: a weekly power session that turns isolation into domination. Every Friday morning on Zoom, you'll get real coaching and real feedback to make real moves. Join a group of driven professionals in a program designed for solopreneurs and people working at home. Stop getting stuck. Start scaling. Seats are limited. Lock in yours today at modernobserver.com/empower-mastermind.
Friction between the EU and US over Greenland, temporary relief for student loan borrowers, more investigations into Minnesota politicians, and more. Welcome to the Raw Naked Truth. I'm your host, Eric Lopkin, and here's the news you need to know. U.S. Central Command announced Saturday a leader affiliated with Al-Qaeda who had direct ties to an ISIS terrorist responsible for killing 2 U.S. service members and an American interpreter on December 13th, was killed in a U.S. strike in northwest Syria Friday. CENTCOM officials said Bilal Hassan al-Jassim was an experienced terrorist leader who plotted attacks and was directly connected with the ISIS gunmen who killed and injured American and Syrian personnel last month in Palmyra, Syria. The death of a terrorist operative linked to the deaths of 3 Americans demonstrates our resolve in pursuing terrorists who attack our forces, said CENTCOM Commander Admiral Brad Cooper. There is no safe place for those who conduct, plot, or inspire attacks on American citizens and our warfighters. We will find you. CENTCOM launched large-scale strikes in Syria in response to the December 13th attack. The European Union backed off triggering its trade bazooka anti-coercion instrument against President Trump's Greenland tariff threats during an urgent Sunday meeting, prioritizing diplomacy while holding a $108 billion retaliation package in reserve. President Trump threatened 10% tariffs starting February 1st on 8 European countries, including Denmark, Germany, and France, escalating to 25% by June unless Greenland is sold to the United States. European Council President Antonio Costa has convened an extraordinary summit scheduled for Thursday as member states prepare retaliatory tariffs of up to 30% on U.S. cars, poultry, and other products if Trump follows through on his threats. The EU will decide after the February 1st deadline whether to deploy its anti-coercion tool, which allows Brussels to impose counter tariffs without requiring unanimous member state approval. The Trump administration has paused its efforts to seize student debt from borrowers' paychecks, the Education Department said Friday, as the White House makes a concerted push around an affordability agenda ahead of this year's midterm elections. The department said the temporary delay would persist until the department implements new student debt repayment and rehabilitation options outlined in recent legislation. Undersecretary of Education Nicholas Kent said in a press release that department officials determined garnishment will function more efficiently and fairly after those are in effect. The Department of Justice on Friday issued subpoenas for Minnesota Governor Tim Walz and Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey, accusing them of impeding federal immigration enforcement through public statements they have made. The investigation comes during a weeks-long immigration crackdown in Minneapolis and St. Paul, in which the Department of Homeland Security has made more than 2,500 arrests. Part of the focus has been on a growing welfare fraud scandal involving some members of the state's Somali community. Frey described the report of an investigation as an obvious attempt to intimidate. As of Thursday, ICE held about 73,000 individuals facing deportation in its custody across the country, the highest level recorded by the agency in its 23-year history. The House Oversight Committee is probing Minnesota Representative Ilhan Omar, who reported a net worth of close to $30 million in her latest financial disclosure. The Minnesota lawmaker and her husband, Tim Minette, experienced a roughly 3,500% increase in net worth last year compared to 2023, according to the disclosure. Investment firm Rose Lake Capital, formed by Minette and partner Will Haller, in 2022 had $42.44 in its bank account in late 2022, but the firm's value grew to $25 million in 1 year, according to Omar's 2024 filing. Rose Lake boasts on its website that it does private equity work and that its officers had billions in previous assets under management. House Oversight Panel Chairman Representative James Comer said, "There are a lot of questions as to how her husband accumulated so much wealth over the past 2 years. It's not possible. It's not. I'm a money guy. It's not possible." OpenAI is going to start testing ads in ChatGPT. The chatbot's answer to your prompt may soon have a sponsor, as OpenAI plans to start testing ads in ChatGPT for the first time, introducing a new revenue stream. The ads, which will be labeled, will appear at the bottom of responses for adult users of the free and cheapest subscription tier versions of ChatGPT. OpenAI said it won't sell users' info to advertisers or include ads on answers on touchy topics like health or politics. 2 years ago, CEO Sam Altman said on a podcast that he saw ads as a last resort, but facing $1.4 trillion in spending commitments to build out AI infrastructure with $20 billion in revenue last year, he's now willing to give it a try. That's the Raw Naked Truth for January 19th, 2026. You can catch every episode of the Raw Naked Truth Daily News Brief, as well as our sister podcast, Carnivore Radio, with news analysis and commentary, and the rest of the Xvadio Podcast Network at xvadio.com, the Apple Podcast app, YouTube, Rumble, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Audible, Amazon Music, and other platforms that respect freedom of speech. We'll see you next time.